Hi everyone, how are you doing today? I want to talk to you guys about something that is going on YouTube, and I don't know why it's coming out now, whether this quarantine has just gotten to these people's heads that they're already insane thoughts are going even more askew into a realm of total irrationality. So here's what's going on, and here's why I feel it needs to be addressed. It has to be addressed that certain creators, now there's two, we have the Mensa woman, and believe me, no affiliation to the organization. When I tell you what she's touting today, you will even question whether she graduated from the 8th grade. And then we have another channel that she is then referencing and being, oh, that shocked, she has, okay? We never see her face or hands. We only see them when we go on the internet and look at her name, because she does not want to appear in front of the camera, but use 10-year-old pictures because that makes her feel better. So, okay. What they are doing is they are slandering a murdered woman, a murdered pregnant woman, Shanann Rzucek. They are even going so far as to insinuate the baby she was carrying was not Chris's baby, when it's right in the discovery, claims that there's no DNA report, when it's right in the discovery, even insinuates that's why Ronnie and Cindy Watson family are not mentioning the baby because they don't believe it was Chris's, and all of this stuff that's in her wild insinuations. We know she had Cindy Watson on. If you missed that, I did a reaction to that video, and you can find it in my videos, but I will put it in the video description here. Okay. Now her channel was taken down a number of times. Why was her channel taken down? Well, her channel was taken down because it violates YouTube's terms of service. She is harassing and slandering victims of violent crimes. This is against the terms of service. She's bullying in nature when she's doing it. And YouTube, you need to stop this. The people that she is attacking are not only the murdered victims, but the murdered victims' family, Frank, Sandra, and Frankie Rzucek. It's wrong. It's against the terms of service. It's causing undue stress, grief. If it's getting myself and others who stand for victims this upset, can you imagine what it is doing to the family? Okay, now, I'm going to tell you what she is saying now and just explain how absolutely absurd. And you know what the funny thing is? She wants to consider herself part of a true crime, a true crime channel in the true crime community. You are not in the true crime community. I know you think you are. You're not respected by any creator in the true crime community, okay? You align yourself with creators that spread their propaganda just like you do for a false narrative. That's what you do, Brenda. It shows you could not even put your little toe, which may not be so little, into the true crime community because, why? You know why? Because you don't even know how to read discovery. And I doubt you even read one page of what you describe as the mile-high discovery. Okay? But you know what? You know how many times I've been through the mile-high discovery on this case and any other case that I cover? Multiple times. Multiple times, because I owe it to everyone as a creator to know what I'm talking about and to deal with facts, not conspiracy, not insane theories, not slandering victims to make it look like they are even their own worst enemy. No, no. Well, now Miss Mensa and this other channel, you know what they're doing? I told you about this the other night, that they were coming out with this new thing. This new thing is not only that creators like myself and others who stand up for victims are being paid to do so, okay? And now she's added, if we're not paid to do so, because I guess that's how silly that looked, right? We're recruited, or we are just so crazy we can't help ourselves from jumping on the bandwagon. Okay. Then she says, along with this other channel, that Frank Rzucek, you heard me right, Frank Rzucek directed Chris to do what he did. Now the other day they were saying that he didn't do what they did. He didn't do what he did. That he didn't do it and took the blame. Well, now I guess they couldn't find enough to put that in, because who was going to do that, right? So what they did was they said now he's directed at the direction of Frank Rzucek to do what he did. And he just followed orders because, as Brenda says, he is a battered man with a battered man syndrome. Okay, so let's take a look at what Brenda's saying, and then we'll look at what really is, what's reality. Okay, what's reality and what's Brenda's version in this other channel, because it's disgusting and it's sick. And YouTube, I tell you again, this is harassing, slandering a murdered victim and her family. And it needs to get off of YouTube. These channels are against your own terms of service. Okay, so let's look at Mensa. Now, I can tell you with Mensa, her jealousy of Shanann and the family is obvious. It is obvious. Any picture she chooses to use of Shanann is a picture where Shanann was caught off guard or she was sick. And for someone to have to use pictures like that entirely, it's because you are so jealous of the person. You cannot even put up the regular pictures of that person because they bother you so much, because you don't look like that person. You never did, even in your heyday. Okay? All right. So the jealousy is dripping, and that comes also from Cindy and Jamie, and we've seen all the ways that they've done that and tried to, put out that Jamie stopped traffic and stuff, and that was their big agenda after their daughter-in-law was brutally murdered along with their grandchildren. That was the most important thing to get out there. Okay, so she keeps posting photos of the kids with the nebulizer treatments. Now I notice how you have the one picture of the nebulizer treatments. As I've said before, it's questionable to me whether you even know an iota about raising children. But you know what? I've had 5 children. And I've had children that have had to take an over-the-mouth inhaler. I have had children that had to go into the emergency room for nebulizer treatments. So you know what, Brenda? You don't know what in the freak you're talking about. Okay? So you take a picture of them with these little masks on, sitting on the couch, and you try to make it look like Shanann is totally out of her mind and she subjected her kids to this and she's an abusive mother. Okay? Well, when you understand that a child with a constricted airway, like my son had that needed nebulizer treatments, the pediatrician describes it as this, Brenda, but you probably, maybe if you had a child, have a child or what, you were lucky enough not to have to experience this. But because your experience doesn't align with someone else's, doesn't make someone else's a lie. Here's a pen. This is how the pediatrician explained this to me. That when my son would get this croup and he had allergy-induced asthma, he outgrew that, thankfully. But I'm talking about the ages 3, 4, about like Bella and Cece's age. That their windpipe over here, right, will get so constricted up to the point of the pencil. And that's why they're gasping for breath, gasp for breath, And so, yeah. And in precious few seconds, your child can be lost if you don't seek treatment for that. So, you know what? Okay. Keep posting pictures of the nebulizer. Any intelligent parent will know exactly what that is, Brenda. Okay? she keeps talking about this battered man syndrome, but yet she doesn't answer. She goes, people say in the comments, why didn't Chris leave? Why didn't Chris just leave? Why didn't he get a divorce? He's a man after all. Then those of you that are saying that don't know about the battered man complex. And if you're going to ask me if I think he's a battered man, you know, she goes, you can see it in the videos. And if you can watch those videos and not see it, wow, you know, that's her proof. Okay? You can see it in the video, and if you can watch it in the videos and not see that he's a battered man, well, then something's wrong with you. That's the facts. The behavioral analysis, the diagnosis, this is how she does this, okay? First of all, are you even qualified? Are you even qualified to make an accusation such as that, a diagnosis such as that? Are you qualified to say Chris was a battered husband because you looked at a freaking video? And we looked at those same videos, and you have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. I've gone through this a number of times. You think any of those videos with her play, sarcasm that was funny and cute and nice, there's something wrong with you. No wonder you are not married. No wonder. You have zero sense of humor. You're not a fun person to be around. You're not with a person that has a sense of humor. My own husband laughs at the stupidity in this. You're a racist. You say things against Italians. And believe me, I'm taking that down. I'm screenshotting your racist comments because they are also against terms of service. All right? Keep talking about Italians. That's a fine group to tick off, isn't it? Isn't it, Brenda? That's a fine group to tick off. Those fiery Italians aren't going to sit there and let you do that. Okay? Keep doing it, Brenda. Anyway, I'll tell you why Chris didn't get a divorce. It has nothing to do with being a battered husband. Plain and simple. We've seen it, and you would have seen it too if you studied the discovery transcripts and you studied his videos. And you studied all the interviews, including the February 18th interview in Wisconsin. Chris was concerned with one thing, his image. One of the last things he said to the investigators was, I hope that I will not be judged on this one event. Everyone would say what a good person I am. See, Chris had it memorized. When Special Agent Coder asked Chris how people would describe him, he had his little blurb. It was memorized. That's what he had to do. He could repeat it verbatim, whether you asked him on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, because that's what he did. He memorized things. He didn't know how to process real feelings. He had to look up on a computer, how does it feel when someone tells you they love you? Okay? Because he had no empathy. No empathy at all. So Chris is obsessed with image, as his mother is. That is the reason Cindy Watts cannot keep her mouth shut, because she is trying to vindicate her son in these murders any way she can, slandering anyone she can in order to do it. And what she's doing is she's trying to clear her image and Chris's image at the same time. All right? She should be quiet. She should stop. But she can't. So she will do it at any cost. Cindy, are you going to keep doing this when you know your son murdered his family? It's sick, and you need to be quiet. But let's look why Chris didn't just get a divorce. Chris didn't just get a divorce because his wife was 15 weeks pregnant, and he had 2 young girls in the house. Not for the reason that Mensa says. Mensa says he didn't get a divorce, and I'll show you what Mensa says in just a minute and totally debunk it in 1 second. She says he didn't get a divorce because what about Bella and Cece? And what she means by what about Bella and Cece, she says that was a dangerous household and Shanann was going to hurt those children. So how could he get a divorce? What would he do with Bella and Cece? You want me to debunk that for you right now, Brenda? I will. If he truly thought his wife was dangerous to his children, he could petition for custody, have proof of that, and get custody. She would have to have supervised visitation rights and all of that. Did he do any of that, Brenda? No, he most certainly did not. That's number one. Number two, in debunking that for you, is that those children were out of his presence for 6 weeks when they were in North Carolina. And you know what? They were thriving. They were living. They were playing. They were having a grand time. When did they not? When did the harm come to those children? When they went back into their home with their father, who should have protected and loved them above anything else. That's when the harm came to them, Brenda. So try again with your silly theory, because it doesn't hold water. Okay? The other thing is, here is why Christopher Watts did not file for divorce. The same reason many people, like Scott Peterson and the other husbands that did this, because they are focused on their image. How would it look if Christopher Watts got a divorce from his wife, 15 weeks pregnant, and left his 2 little girls to take up with someone he met at the office that he was having an affair with while he was married? Do you think his coworkers and friends and all of their friends would still say, oh, Chris was such a lovely person, like he needed to be stroked. He needed to be stroked with that. He memorized that. That's how much it meant to him, okay? He needed to hear about what a great guy he was. That was his mask. It's what he wants today. He wants everything he did to be forgotten and people to remember maybe what? That he won the spelling bee in the 4th grade? I don't even know if he did that, but I'm saying it's so absurd, Christopher Watts. If he did that, he knew his image would be trash. The other thing is, he knew that if his wife vanished with the children, and they were never ever found again, and no one ever knew what happened, and he, even though he gave that horrendous porch interview, thought that he was, showing what a grieving husband looks like. Someone that's desperately missing his children, even though he did everything the opposite, okay? He thought people would be coming by, holding his hand, bringing him casseroles. They'd be writing about him in the paper, Frederick Mann's family goes missing, still no leads. That's what he was looking at. And then when the time was right, well, he would say he had this relationship that of course did not start while he was married, but he needed comfort and he found it in someone that he worked with, and life would go on, yada, 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 and Chris would still be a really great guy who was a victim. It's better yet, a victim, deserving of compassion, deserving of people to fawn over him. But there's one person that blew that out of the water for him, and that is Nicole Atkinson, a true friend and hero, along with Shanann's other friends that were on the phone with Nicole. they also helped to make sure that never happened. So now Nicole Atkinson is coming under attack. Yes, can you believe this? Yes, on that other channel. And it's sickening. And Nicole, I just want to say to you, we are praying for you here, all the Ramblers, with your battle that you're going, and we want you to have a full and complete recovery and never have to deal with this again in your life, and lead a long, happy life to a ripe old age with your family. And no one should be putting this on your plate. And shame on you guys for doing that. How low can you possibly sink? So let's take a look. So that's the reason, Brenda, he didn't get a divorce. Because he would have looked bad. That's why it was better to kill his children and his unborn child and his wife. So stop with the battered husband, because it's old and it's tired and untrue and unsubstantiated in any way. His actions caused law enforcement so much grief and pain. That recovery, he should have had to sit there front and center at that recovery, though it probably wouldn't have bothered him in the least. But all of those people traumatized, PTSD, unable to work anymore, some of them. Horrible. Now, Brenda, you say, what are your real motives, Brenda, for slandering? You're not dealing in facts, so you're not in true crime. We've discovered that. You're not in true crime. No, you're not. You're in creating a false narrative to slander victims of violent crimes. So if you're not dealing with facts and you're not in true crime, what exactly are you doing here on YouTube? Spreading your narrative. But you say, oh, if my channel gets taken down, I'm going to Patreon. You're already in Patreon. You just can't tell a story straight. You're already in Patreon, posting videos in Patreon with your channel on YouTube. Okay? So what does that mean? It's okay, right? Then it's okay for you to make an income slandering victims of violent crimes. I believe what you're doing is against Patreon terms of service too, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? Yes. Harassment, bullying, and stalking of victims of violent crimes. Because what you guys are doing to Frank Rzucek is stalking. Okay? So, let's go on. You say that your email address should be out there because you've been doxxed so many times. You know, Brenda, you claim to be a writer and author. Hey, if you were a real one, your email address would be out there, because I'm a writer and I know that mine is out there, and I have no qualms about it being out there, or my identity, or me getting in front of a camera. You know why? Why? Because I'm secure in who I am. I don't have to hide like you, Brenda. Okay? So you're so upset. You say you were doxxed. Your email was out there. If you were credible, your email would be out there on its own. Okay? And then you say people are not allowed to email you. You have an email address. I wish I could say people are not allowed to email me, and I'd stop getting all of these bogus things that end up in my inbox. You're ridiculous, Brenda. You are absolutely ridiculous. Okay. So then you start mentioning this other channel. And oh my goodness, it is shocking, and I just learned about it today. Brenda, oh my goodness. You know what Brenda learned about today? The great true crime content creator? She learned that Shanann had summer infant baby monitors with video, except she doesn't know they're summer infant because she hasn't looked into it. And the other channel knows it probably, but is trying to spread this false information to fit their narrative. Brenda says you can just count, if you could play a drinking game with the ridiculous things Brenda says after this. Okay, I actually have in my book, moronic statement. Okay, she says, why? And this is, again, as I told you, in studying behavior patterns, when they're trying to influence you to believe something, they're going to say it multiple times. When they're trying to convince somebody they're not lying, same thing, speaking in absolutes. So here it comes. Why? And I want to ask you, why? Why were cameras on the girls' beds? I don't mean on the girls' beds. Why were those cameras focused on the girls' beds? Why? Why? Ask yourself that. Why? Well, you know why, Brenda? I guess if you had a child, it must have been, 40, 50 years ago? Because it couldn't have even been 30 years ago, but I don't know. There's such a thing as baby monitors, and baby monitors have evolved over the years, Brenda. You know, from when I had my oldest of my 5 children until when I had my last 2, they actually evolved to video monitors, just like Shanann had. And the ones she had were made by Summer Infant. Had you looked into it, you would know this. Okay? But no, you claim those are not the monitors that Shanann carried around. No, they're attached to the wall. The camera on the wall is part of the Summer Infant monitor. How do you think they get the picture, Einstein, Brenda? Wow, this is scary stuff here, and you want to be in the true crime community. Yeah, I don't think there's a chance in that. Okay, so she says, she doesn't know why, and then she goes, did Christopher Watts, because she has to negate Shanann and everything, have a smart house? Did he have a smart house? Well, that's another thing you would know had you gone through that mile-high discovery. Okay, so she says, we have not seen any of this in the mile-high documents, discovery documents. Okay, she goes, were they turned off? Why are they there in the first place? Why? What were they there for? If the situation was so dangerous, why weren't those children taken out of the house? And she goes off in a tirade then about how we have to stand up and take action. Brenda, you need to take action and get your head examined, okay? You really do. You need to get your head examined. Number 1, you don't know the first thing about the discovery. It's all in the discovery, sweetheart. It's all in the discovery. As does your friend there that you're touting the video, because what they're doing is Vivint. And anybody that's covered the Chris Watts case with facts, like myself, has gone over the Vivint security system. And all the Vivint security systems are different. They come with a base, and then you add options. We've went over this 1,000 times. The Watts did not have all those options. They had door monitors. They had sensors for activity and door monitors. They didn't have interior cameras hooked to Vivint that captured what happened there that day. They have some signals. There was action on this floor, there was action on that floor at that time. This door opened so many times. That's what they had. Those are the options that they had. So, all of that Vivint stuff that person is showing in their video, it's baloney, because it doesn't make a bag of beans a difference what Vivint offers. It matters what Shanann Rzucek had in her home, and she didn't have that. Okay, so we can drop that, and you would have known that had you studied the discovery, had you studied the case. Both of you would have known that. The Summer Infant monitors were covered extensively in the discovery. In fact, officers recreated what could have happened while taking video of what showed on the cameras. Again, another thing you would have known had you done your homework and even looked at the discovery. So do you realize how moronic you sound when you say, why wasn't it in the discovery? Play it back for yourself, Brenda. Wow. Okay? So how anybody continues to even put, what is it, a heappenny? If you haven't got a heappenny, then God bless you. They have a penny, right? A heappenny of belief in anything you say, I don't know. But maybe we know birds of a feather flock together and water follows and seeks its own level. So, of course, your supporters are at your level. So you would be their leader. Okay, she wants to know and says it's so weird that you would monitor kids while they're sleeping. Wow, let's talk to Graco, Summer Infant, Fisher-Price, Moby. Let's talk to all of these manufacturers and tell them that Brenda says your monitors have no place because no parent would want to monitor their child when they're sleeping. Let that sink in for you. So Brenda is going to go with the narrative that these cameras were installed. Now, Einstein on the other channel is also saying that they could have been, Einstein on the comments on Brenda's channel, who she's conversing with, is also saying that they were probably installed by CPS because they had to watch Shanann because she was so dangerous. And again, Brenda goes on with this big thing. Why wasn't anyone doing anything? This house was so dangerous when the kids were in the... Why? We have to change our... Oh boy. Den says, when their mother with a big smile on her face says, I give my kids lots of Tylenol. Yeah, where's that? Where's that? She gives her kids lots of Tylenol. And even if she was giving her children's Tylenol, it's not against the law, Brenda. Doesn't kill your children giving them the correct dose of children's Tylenol when they need it. Do you know anything about their medical records and when they had it? No, you don't. You know nothing. Okay? She goes to the battered male syndrome again, right after that, you know? Okay. And we already explained that and debunked that. What else do we have to debunk here? She says, what would have happened if he left that house? You know what would have happened if he left that house? They'd all be alive. That's what would happen. They'd all be alive, Brenda. She says he was worried about Bella and Cece. You know, they wouldn't be safe. They couldn't be safe in their own home. You know what? They were safe in North Carolina with their mother. No harm ever happened to them there. They weren't safe in their own home. You know why? Because their father was there. And their father killed them, Brenda, brutally. And disposed of their bodies in the worst possible way that no father that loved his children could ever do. That's why, Brenda. Do you realize how utterly irrational, delusional, and evil you sound to say and waste your time trying to slander this woman that was murdered at the hands of this monster? Okay, she says about this other channel. So I go over to the other channel and I look at their video. Again, we went over, they show general information about the Vivint security system, but the Watts security system did not have those options. So if they knew the case, they'd understand, but they don't. They talk about the video monitors on this other channel. They show the Summer Infant camera that's mounted by the children's curtains pointed at the bed, trying to make it sound like it was some kind of device installed by maybe CPS or some other thing to monitor the children. Beyond that, they say that perhaps it's there because Frank Rzucek is monitoring those cameras, and that is how, now this is the sick part, again, this is so sick, and this is why this has to come down. This is torturing a family that has gone through enough. They are now fingering Sandra Rzucek in this. And this channel has always tried to point her at this, saying that she was there the night of, and that, remember all the other stuff they were saying? Well, now they're back on it again. They just have a different narrative, a false narrative, another false narrative. What they're saying here now is that Sandra was able to, through an app, monitor those cameras. And she saw Shanann murdering the children, right? And so she started right away with a cover-up, because they know it was a cover-up, because how would she know the things she knew? So they go on about how when she made that statement that she had a very, very bad feeling and that Chris had done something terrible and was going to try to cover it up with oil. They said, how could she be that spot on? There's no way. It's not her intuition. And they're playing clips from Dr. Phil. It's no way is it her intuition. She only knows that because she was in on it and she was directing him what to do and she was setting him up. You're sick. Sick, sick people. Okay? They said that when she talked about the new part of the confession, and when then they were talking about the children being alive, and she said they had their feet on their mother and they thought she was sick or she was sleeping. And Frankie says, well, we don't know what they thought, just meaning that we don't know what the girls thought. We can't think for them. Not meaning that his mother's a liar. I think Frankie meant to say the girls could have been thinking something so much worse, so much more horrible. But you know what this channel says? You see? Even the son knows the mother's lying. So they say she's setting him up. She's setting Chris up. And that's why the police said to her something like, well, don't try to, say too much to him, because if you're getting skeptical of him, because we still have to find out where your daughter and the kids are. Then she mentions, you remember when Chris said, oh my gosh, I feel like the police are on to me. They're like, how would anybody know that? How would she know anything from the neighbor? Because they were speaking with the neighbor. Okay? If you read the discovery, if you've studied about this case, you'd know that the Rzuceks were in contact with the neighbor, Nate. So they go to Frank Rzucek and they go to his impact statement, Frank Rzucek's impact statement. And when he says finally that the cameras don't lie, you carry them out like trash, they say, who did Frank pay to get someone to manipulate those cameras? You are really, really, really sick. This is why this is just ridiculousness. So they show more of the Dr. Phil. They are making fun of the spiritual presence that Sandra Rzucek felt. They speak where they say, why would Shanann say sorry to her mother if Chris murdered the whole family? Maybe she's saying sorry to her mother because, sorry, I ended up with such a lunatic that he killed your family, Mom. Sorry that I can't be with you, Mom. Sorry that my life is over and I can't live it out with you, Mom. No. She's sorry in their eyes because she killed the children. Okay. And they make a joke about Frankie better check his room for cameras as well, which then brings them to some critical creators' videos that they show a screenshot of, which actually say Chris Watts' dirty pictures. And they say, why were photos of Frankie Jr. in compromising positions all over the internet? Well, I didn't see those. And if they're coming from that creator that you said, I can tell you what they are. But even if, let's just say some old girlfriend took a picture of them and it was circulating. What would that have to do? What would that have to do with what Christopher Watts did to his family? No one is saying anyone is a saint. Okay? You have to divert people's attention from the truth and the facts to other things in order to push your narrative. Deflection, deflection, deflection. Okay, so they go through that whole thing, and then in more deflection, they show a clip of Molly Golightly talking about another thing not connected to what happened to the girls, but they're using it to fit their narrative, and they're saying that Sandra saying that Frankie was up for 2 days shows that he was on pills of some kind, and then a message from Critical K that says, I don't know who this photo came from, she doesn't know who the photo came from, but claims that it's Frankie being passed out on drugs. Yeah. That's just so wrong to do that to a murder victim, but let's say Frankie has an addiction problem. There are many people in this world that have an addiction problem. Many of these people that are all taking up in arms, many of their children, their husbands, their family members probably have addiction problems. They should know better than anyone. Why are they doing this? And addiction problems can start with people going through traumatic events. Does it have anything to do with the murder that Christopher Watts perpetrated on his family? Zero. Why are we talking about it then? It has nothing to do. It's just deflection. As I said, Mensa's got racist comments in there. Now saying that Bella looked just like Chris, okay? And Cece did not look like Shanann at all. She looked like Cindy Watts. Wow. That is the definition of freaking delusion. Then she says, maybe if the kids looked more like Shanann, she would have taken better care of them. You're sick. She was a very good mother, and it kills you that she was. Then you say, maybe if she had her natural hair, instead of dyeing her hair black, going for the Italian look. You're racist. And that's not the only Italian comment in there. They go on to a handicap tag where Shanann is waiting at the DMV for a handicap tag for her vehicle. They say, why was she doing that? I think there's only one like on the post. They say, that's ridiculous. Okay. Anyway. She talks about how, then she goes to that video that Shanann made. You know, the one where the kids are there and they keep coming over to her because Chris can't keep them entertained, because Chris doesn't know how to engage with his children because they want to be with their mother. But Brenda spins it another way. She had to get away because the kids were she was making a video for work and bringing in income. And she went out onto the porch, the deck, to record the last part of that video. And then Brenda says, well, in that video, she says something like she lost almost all of her friends due to her illnesses that she had. And she wants you to believe that that was because they didn't understand her challenges. But I don't think it was that at all. Just my opinion. Your opinion, wow. You're the kind of person they say, I don't know, Brenda. Penny for your thoughts kind of seems pricey. Yeah. So she's saying that all of Shanann's friends left because, you know, she's just crazy as a loon. Yeah. Now, what about all those friends that testified for her? I know you conveniently forgot to mention them. So she claims to quote the couple. Her next thing is that she's quoting this couple, Jeremy. Remember Jeremy? That Shanann was probably selling under the bus at the Ford dealership they worked for, right? Who has since, if I'm not wrong, has come out and said he was sorry when he found out what Chris did, that he said the things he did, because he was probably grinding that axe from when she beat him out for salesperson of the month, month after month after month, because she was very good at what she did. He said things, and we've gone over these in interviews. This is not new stuff, Brenda. If you studied the case, you would know, and you would understand where his behavior is coming from. Okay? And if you saw the interaction that he had with Shanann, you'll also see that he didn't really know her very well. Okay? And so she wants to say that he said, oh, I think she's this kind of person that sees commercials on TV and says, oh yeah, I have that. Okay, yeah, that's what she's doing. And then she claims this other thing, which is totally never said there, that she saw something about dogs having some sort of condition, and then right away Dieter had it. Yeah, that's probably coming from what? Your Facebook group, Brenda? From someone you don't even know, but it just sounds good? Okay. Then she says that she's going to remove all comments that don't agree with her narrative because she just can't take it anymore. Okay? Obviously, especially when we tolerate your minions and invite them to come up on panel to intelligently debate with us, but they don't. They can't. They know that they don't have the facts to support these insane theories that are going on. We deal in facts on this channel, and we report with facts. This is a true crime channel, and it is in the true crime community. You are not a true crime channel. You are not in the true crime community. You're in the nutters community because you're a nutter. And you are worse than a nutter. Okay? You're a bully. And you're a harasser. And you're doing this horrible stuff day after day. Sometimes you're making 3, 4, I don't know how many videos a day. Plus your Patreon videos, which again, I'm fairly certain, I'll go look, I'm fairly certain that kind of behavior is against the terms of service of Patreon as well. You claim someone is, you have moles in your Patreon and that they're stealing your videos. Well, if that's true, Brenda, who's ever doing that is probably sending them to Patreon. Better be careful. It's against terms of service, right? So you're attacking the voiceless, a murdered wife, a pregnant murdered wife who can't speak for herself anymore. And you're attacking even the children. You don't even recognize Nico. You do it over and over and over again. For what reason? You're either connected with the Watts family or you're writing letters and are in love with Christopher Watts. Okay? And there are many women like that. And there's a study on people like that, Brenda. And I think you probably fall in that category. And maybe you're very jealous because you feel, well, I don't look as bad as Cato, so I should have a chance. Okay, Brenda. You need to stop. You need to stop. And I will do whatever I can, whenever I can, to make sure your stupid propaganda, your harassing propaganda, your harassing narrative that you're doing is debunked. And I will be the voice for the voiceless because I can use my platform to advocate for victims. And Shanann Rzucek, Bella Rzucek, Celeste Cece Rzucek, and Nico Rzucek, Sandra Rzucek, Frank Rzucek, and Frankie Rzucek Jr. are all victims. And you're harassing every single one of them. Cut it. Stop it, Brenda. And I urge all of you to do not be complacent. This is different than a troll. Don't confuse this with not giving trolls attention. This is not a troll. This is someone that is harassing and slandering the victims of violent crime and their families. And as I spoke with Rosemarie D'Alessandro, she didn't have the 1973 murder of her daughter Joan happen during social media times. But the families, like you see Landon now, and Albert Stalk being attacked, this has to stop. You have to stand up and stand up for these people that are going through unbelievable grief. This is not okay. And YouTube, you know this is against your terms of service. So why are you allowing channels like this to create content like this? And Patreon, you know that this is against your terms of service. And worse yet, they're accepting money, and you're accepting money, Patreon, while people are being slandered with those videos. Those videos are for one purpose only, to slander and to hurt victims of violent crimes and their families. This needs to stop. It's not funny, not by a long shot. This is not a difference of opinion, Brenda. You're not discussing a true crime case, Brenda. You are not dealing with facts in the case. You haven't even read the discovery. You're creating sensational videos based only on what you think should be there. Ignorance is not an excuse for what you're doing. And you need to get yourself examined. Take your inventory and cut the crap. Thank you guys for watching. Please stand up for the victims. Do not allow this kind of behavior. And my prayers for every victim and for their families. And I will do whatever I can to fight for what's right. And if you want to email me, I don't hide my email, and it didn't have to be doxed to get out of it. It's in every single video. Carolyn@truecrimechat.org. Have a good day, guys. Bye.